Yeah, it was very exciting to come into this building. Everything was just so clean, shiny, not like the old school downtown. You had to go into the basement for lunch, and you had to go in the basement for change for gym class. Yeah, that was awful dark and gloomy. You had, half-story windows down there. But it was quite a change to come up here and everything, brand new. So all the murals that are on the walls above the lockers were here day one. So they have lasted 50 years. I think Mrs. Anderson was my favorite teacher. I think she cared and went above and beyond, good relationships with everybody.
My favorite memory is in 6th grade when Kellie Swanson and myself, we went up on the stage and we sang "You Light Up My Senses" by John Denver. My favorite teacher was Mrs. Press. That would be in 3rd grade.
How come?
She was very kind and generous, always willing to help you out.
My favorite memories of Pine Valley, there are many favorite memories because of the place. I met all of my best friends here at Pine Valley, met them as a child in elementary school, up through high school, and then I met people that I work with who are now my best friends. So it has given me a lot of memories that I can't just pinpoint one. It's always been a big family. It still continues to be a big family here. My favorite teachers were Mrs. Anderson, Mrs. Kathy Anderson, Mrs. Cindy Press, and they were new and young and fun and somebody I wanted to be just like. As far as changes, we still have our brightly colored halls. We've got all the colorful wallpaper that was here from the get-go, and that's one of the things I first remember about the school.
My favorite memory from elementary school here was, I didn't have anything in particular, but I grew up on a farm, so my memories is this is the only place I ever got to see any of my friends and do anything with my friends. So that's my favorite memories, is being able to come to school and see people and do things that I didn't normally get to do, because on the farm I just was, I wasn't in town. So I enjoyed school. I remember all of my teachers in elementary school. I remember their names and what year I had them. I liked them all. They were all good teachers. They were all nice. Each one was different in certain ways.
Just memories. We did a lot. We were always outside walking. We'd go up to the pond for science, little things like that. Always were doing stuff. Always choruses, always concerts. Mr. Anderson, Dale Anderson, he was my 4th grade teacher. And as old as I am now, he will still be the best teacher. He was just a great teacher. He was just the ultimate teacher in my book. And always will be, and I tell him that when I see him. Still today.
Everything was new, when we first come in here. And I think, wasn't 3rd grade down where it is now, where the science room is and stuff? Isn't that where that was? And then 5th and 6th were across the way. Mrs. Anderson. One of the big changes was the meals. They were all made from scratch back when we went to school, and everything was fresh and had a lot of butter and salt and pepper and fat in it, and so they can't have all that stuff anymore.
And having that big cafeteria was amazing, because we didn't have anything like that. And like Kelly said, the halls were colorful with all the pictures that are still there for 50 years have been the same. So that's what I would say. My favorite teacher would have been Mr. DiTondo in 6th grade, and then I had Mrs. Satterley for, I think, 4th and 5th. Mr. DiTondo, I think he favored some people like me, and so I just loved him. He was a great guy, and Miss Satterley was super sweet, so sweet, and I got to have her twice. So she was a great teacher to have.
My favorite memory was 3rd grade. We were in where the AIS suite is right now. Had previously been the administrative suite for the business office. Mr. Brown was my teacher, and we had photography, and he built the dark room in that room. So we took pictures and we developed them. So at a very young age, I got very interested in photography. So I think that was my favorite memory. I would have to say Mr. Brown again, because he did all those neat things. He was very structured, and I remember him being very strict, but I liked him regardless of that. You know, it wasn't a bad thing. I remember the 5th and 6th grade pods, and I was in, I can't remember which grade it was that I was in there, but that was all open, which is now like by the computer lab and that. And as they added on, as time went on, like when the computer lab was added, that little section was added onto the building too. That was a big change.
I came here in 4th grade, and it was so different because I only had the South Dayton kids I was friends with. Now I had all these kids from Leon and Cherry Creek and Conowongo that I really didn't know, and they intermingled us. That was interesting because here you'd known all these kids your whole life, and now you have a whole nother set of children to get to know. It was interesting, it was fun. I think that we all adjusted really well. And then going back when we were in school, we had like pods, so it was an open room with 4 classes in there. That was fun because you could hear the whole class
So
all
also,
open.
okay.
No, there was 2, they did the 6th grade like that. I enjoyed 5th grade with Mr. Potts. It was interesting. He had his quirks. And Mr. John O'Hagan, who actually was here when I came back and started working here. He was my 5th grade teacher. My 4th grade teacher was Mrs. Frisbee. And come to find out, she was friends with Lucille Ball.
Really?
I found that interesting.
I bet.
So back then we had more homemade food. It was more scratch.
I went to Cherry Creek School. Like I was telling you, there was snow coming through the windows, and it was dark, dingy. You had to go downstairs to eat lunch also in Cherry Creek. And so when you come up here, you got bright lights, you got a separate room that you can eat in, a separate music room. It made you feel like coming to school. It was a more comfortable atmosphere, and you had more kids that you would see when you would switch classes. I really didn't have a favorite teacher. They were all pretty nice. Like, I think everybody had Mrs. Anderson. Jessie Hadley was another one of my teachers. Mrs. Waite was another one. Mr. Walden, if guys remember that. Probably my favorite teacher would have been Mr. Frederick Angelo, and he was the phys ed teacher. Well, there's been a lot of them, but I've been here for 35 years, so I've seen most of them that come through. So the biggest thing, the 4 classrooms down at the other end of the building, those are added on. When we first came here, you had a teacher's desk and you had your desk that you put your books in. Now there's workstations, there's video, it just goes on with the times. Overhead projectors. So yeah, we had all that.
I guess I would have to say it was recess with my friends on the playground, especially the big kickball games.
I was fortunate enough to have great teachers all throughout elementary school, but if I had to choose one, it would be Kathy Anderson. She was my 3rd grade teacher. She was so kind and encouraging, and she had such a sweet sense of humor. I really have not noticed any big changes. It's just fun to kind of picture myself as a little girl walking these same halls. I have a lot of great memories here.
I don't really remember kindergarten, but I know 1st and 2nd grade I had Mrs. Mosier, which was Alice Mosier, and then I had 3rd grade Karen Anderson, Mrs. Anderson, which I enjoyed her very much. She was a very good teacher. We made butter. I remember making things with her, but I specifically remember that the one time when we did that. We used to do a lot of creative things in her class. Maybe the classrooms were a lot bigger than they are now, for sure. And like in 5th and 6th grade, we had the pod, which was a big room for all the 5th and 6th grade, or maybe it was in just 6th grade, and we had it was just a huge room with different teachers in it, and I think we had different stations. Like it was
Right.
like a big party, kind of like.
I was in 2nd grade, and my teacher was Mrs. Scott. And I just remember where my classroom was and all my friends that I'm still friends with today. And I'm not sure if it's a favorite memory, but when I was in 3rd grade, I think my favorite teacher was Mrs. Anderson. Her name was Kathy Anderson. She was my 3rd grade teacher. Not sure it's my favorite memory because I broke my arm. She took us out to run around the bus loop out front, and I had some slippery shoes on, and I fell down and broke my arm. And you know, I was very brave until my mother walked in the door, and then I lost it.
Yeah. I was probably in 4th grade with Mrs. Smallback, and she was probably my most favorite teacher. She just took a lot of time and everything, and us kids always felt, I don't know, it didn't feel like going to school at all with her in there. She was just a wonderful woman, and she still is. She just lives down the road from the school. No, the school is basically the same as what it was. You know, it's and they've kept it up. They did a great job over there all these years. And you know, when I do remember when we first came in there, you know, in 2nd grade, that was quite a day. It was just like we were down there in the Cherry Creek School, and they tore that down now. And then the South Dayton kids, and we were all being bussed up here. We gathered everything out of our desks, and we were all being bussed up here, and I'm trying to remember just fragments of it. But when we walked through those doors, it was like walking into a museum or something.